grab the shiny rock. That's it. Don't die along the way, if you can. Dying is optional. We don't really care. Anglers, most common threat you're going to deal with. You're going to see these shithers constantly the whole way. And if you don't pay attention, they're going to eat your ass. Alright? Or weird, wacky pals. Frogger, Pinky, Blitz, and Chainsmoker. Frogger, Yellow, Clingy, boing, 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 up to 3 to 4 times. Careful, locker management, you know the gist. Pinky is pink, doesn't have a light cue, unlike the other ones. And luckily, her sound cue happens genuinely like 30 seconds before she actually shows up, so it's fairly easy to spot her when you're playing solo. You're constantly trying to listen for that tiny little cue, and occasionally, it'll be her. Blitz, blue, fast as fuck, and will eat your ass in a split second. Alright, you got about 2 to 3 seconds to hide into a locker. How you know it's Blitz and not a regular angler? The lights will flash for about twice as long. Occasionally they'll actually flash twice, so it's fairly obvious. And then finally, we got Chainsmoker. Green, stinky, smelly, slow as fuck. An onion. You hide in a locker too soon, he'll kick you out because the overwhelming noxious fumes he's spewing everywhere. You can't stay in there. You can't stay in there for too long. The way to deal with him, though, is to get used to understanding his sound cue. You can try to listen for him. You can try to look for him, but that's not super reliable. What's reliable is listening for the actual chains themselves. Dude, Chainsmoker's so brutal.
Sucks to suck.
Fuck you. Don't wait until Blitz sees you, though, because Blitz will fucking kill you instantly. Pinky, by the way, apex predator of underwater segments, because you can't fucking hear her before she shows up, and she's got no light cue, so she's just Blitz without the light cue. It's actually insane. She's very deadly there. It makes those segments very tense, because anglers are already stressful enough to deal with lying down. Void Mask, hentai tentacle purple locker monsters.
Oh.
The lockers being your only way to survive half of the shit that's coming after you. The Void Mask make it so that the lockers aren't untouchable.
Yo, there's a green one now.
God damn it, Chris, I can hear you.
You've already got claustrophobia. Now you got to deal with the hentai monsters. How do you know there's a hentai monster in it? Look at it. You can see it looking back at you. Don't go in there.
Hey Jason, you're gonna have to get me out of the purple Skittles.
Okay.
No, not yet, Jason!
You're not gonna notice either of these two things because Blitzo is coming to fuck you in the ass. So you just gotta hop in a locker and you gotta pay the fuck attention when you enter a new room to figure out which ones are gonna turn you into a hentai protagonist, alright? Alright. Before you can loot and raccoon a goddamn room, check to see which lockers have hentai monsters in them. Cool? Cool. Now, one that's technically not anglers is Pandemonium. You better fucking call him Panda, though. Somewhat akin to the anglers. Does have the light cue, but the sound cue, much different. And it takes a little bit longer for them to get to you. And you can hide in the lockers to avoid them. But you would, if you are able to, you should hide in a different room. Because Pandemonium, if they go past you, and they see that you're in a locker, which they will see and look at you, and they will go, huh? And then they will try to just fucking ram open the door. And you'll be put into this incredibly tense scene that if you're already stressed out of your mind because of the actual game and the atmosphere, going through this tense scene is just feeling like you're going through mind break. Like you're actually just fucking losing it. Doing this long, loud-ass, hard-ass minigame, alright? It's genuinely terrifying. Pandemonium, by the way, is the only genuinely unfair way to die if you're on console. Every other monster in the game, there's very obvious cues and obvious signs as to why. The only time I'd say it's unfair is if, like, the first time you die to an angler, because you just don't understand quite what's happening. Everything else, I'd say, is very fair in that you died. It's very obvious what you shouldn't do, and if you die to it, you'll be like, yeah, that checks out. But Pandemonium, you can know fully what you need to do to not die, and you will still die if you're on console. Because of how the minigame works, you just can't survive. You just don't. You just die if you don't have high enough sensitivity. I genuinely hope they change the minigame a bit for console, or they edit it so that you can change the sensitivity for that specific minigame. I don't know if they're able to do that from Roblox POV, but I genuinely hope that my console brethren needn't suffer at the hands of Pandemonium stealing their fucking shekels 24/7. Wall Dwellers. Arguably the scariest monster to deal with in this game, yet genuinely the least deadly. I have never died to a Wall Dweller. I don't think I've even gotten hit, but I've been scared shitless through so many runs because of these fuckheads.
What is this?
They lay and wait in this abyss for you to relax for even a goddamn moment. They stalk you for an unknown number of rooms and seem to try and mimic your footsteps until they get close enough to quickly sprint at you and kill you if you don't look at them. They are, however, the easiest to fend off. You just have to briefly look at them and their shy ass will just fucking scuttle away at the speed of sound. You can even get into a locker when you hear running if you didn't look at them soon enough. But just their existence makes you constantly question if your footsteps are yours, if you're safe to keep looting without quickly just checking behind you briefly, or if that small scuttle in the distance is just some metal creaking, a rat, or a deadly threat waiting for you to relax for just a moment. Luckily, they do get murked by the fucking anglers when they pass by. I think, it seems, just what I've observed, because I don't actually have the file on them, again, because I haven't died, which contributes to my nervousness around them with the whole lack of understanding. I've had runs where I've misinterpreted so many sounds the whole time and was so shaken mentally, I constantly thought I was being followed by one of them. I feel like I hear the footsteps instantly. Let me introduce you to the second most common threat of the game. Squiddles. They're here, they're everywhere if you turn off the lights. They just spawn in. Too bad, so sad, motherfucker. First of all, that flashlight has a fucking short-ass battery. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's AA batteries to run the whole restaurant bad. This is genuinely horrendous. They're technically super easy to deal with. Just don't point at the light. Don't point your lights at them for too long, and they'll leave you alone. And as you get farther, it feels like they react faster. They become more frequent. Oddly, they don't hurt you too badly. You can survive about 2 hits, and only the third will kill you. But when you're panicked and running into a new dark room to find a locker that doesn't have a void mass in it, and an angler is rapidly approaching, it's very easy to slip up and get hurt by a squiddle. And that just makes you more stressed as your life is inching imminently closer to its demise. A terrifying way this game contributes to your anxiety of being watched. On top of all the rest of the shit is Eyefestation. She is just a big old shark with a whole lot of eyes that just wants you to take a look at her. Unlike the Wall Dwellers, you have full knowledge when she appears, as your screen will be a tug of war between you and her. If you look at her, you guessed it, you take damage. She's not really deadly unless you decide you're gonna, for once in your life, fight back and flash her. Yeah, that one act of defiance is gonna cost you your life, buddy. Don't do that. You can stop her antics by simply opening the next door, and she will simulate that door. That is your one last ember of hope. But when you open a new door, the game rolls the dice on if another threat decides to come fuck you up. And of course, if you stop paying attention and start sprinting through as many doors as possible, you'll get to meet your new neighbor, the good person, or brainwashingly called Good Neighbor. By me is a fake door. Another fairly direct inspiration from doors, but this one is several tiers better in my opinion because it forces you to slow down and pay attention like everything else in this game does, despite the adrenaline telling you to run as fast as you possibly can. They have 3 small details to watch out for that keep you from rushing. First is if you stand next to them, they'll make the monstrous sounds again, like the lockers. Second and third, you can tell from a distance. The light next to the number will spark a bit, and if an angler or something else has run through and knocked out the power, the fake door will always be on, so if a door is darked out, it's safe to go through. This one frequently gets to me, but luckily isn't an insta-kill. Unfortunately, will deal just a bit over half your health, forcing you to use a medkit when you get reckless. And lastly, honestly, just not really a scary threat, is the turrets. They're less of a threat and more of a mini-game and patience test in this. They do, however, make up for their lack of stress in sighting by complementing most other creatures and contributing to the feeling that this facility used to be active. It used to be protected. Everything used to be under control, but too many things went wrong at once. So now, even the things designed to keep you safe from these monsters have made a complete 180 in morality. Like, why? turrets don't have fucking morals. Well, here is an NPC, Painter, directly inspired by the sentient SCP computer, but with a nice modern polish and realistic application. This guy attempts to deceive you into walking into the fake doors or getting shot by the turrets. Most of the time, he just ends up being a useful warning system or a slap in the face when I hear him as soon as I've already rushed headlong into the next door because I've mentally started to fucking snap. Why is he hacking into the turrets and attempting to kill you? Well, he wants to make art, but he has been forced to mine Bitcoin. A truly realistic depiction of some people finding the next fucking Skynet in some mysterious basement and just deciding to make it mine fucking shitcoin for profit instead of anything else. But still, why is it killing you specifically instead of just leaving? Well, it's been promised that escape if it can stall the recovery of the shiny rock crystal you're trying to get long enough for our next interactive character in the game, Sebastian Soulless. Sebastian here gave that promise to the painter. Whether or not he plans to fulfill it is still unknown, and he seems to help and deceive you as he is the one who has been providing you with the files you so desperately need to make progress, and as your only trustworthy tool. But as with all of your tools, it is still a double-edged sword. You have to, A, fucking die to unlock most of the important files, which is a pain in the ass, because a lot of the rarer monsters only start showing up later and later into the runs, so it can take a decent amount of time to find a specific one. So, you tend to rely on personal trends you figure out yourself. However, that is not perfect. The only perfect info is in the folders, but yet again, the info is not complete on the first death. The files don't tell you everything even when they are complete, and on top of that, there are even some inaccuracies in said files. Remember the anglers? Well, the file actually doesn't tell you what the 4 variants even do, and it gets the color of Blitz just wrong, saying he's gray when in actuality Blitz appears blue and the regular anglers are the gray ones. Whether this was done intentionally or not, I don't care. It makes it so no info other than what you manage to confirm yourself is ever completely accurate, and honestly just contributes to the atmosphere of this game being like a real place where the info is 95% accurate, but that 5% will fucking kill you. And this is just perfect thing for Sebastian to give out, as true to his last name, he is your only solace when you dive into the abyss. As you get more and more overwhelmed over time when you're playing by yourself, around the midway mark you get to find his shop, and that is the only place in the game where no monsters or enemies can try to kill you. It fills you with questions and uncertainty. Whose side is Sebastian on? Is he safe to be around? Yes, but if you fuck with him too much, he can have a little bit of a temper. He also seems to be referring to you, aware of your different lives and meeting you, making you question what the fuck you are. Curiosity is still rewarded. This game is just filled to the goddamn brim with non-lethal mysteries and curiosities to be discovered as well, and 99% of them will not punish you for exploring and looking at them. After you have been in a room for a few minutes, you should have been made aware of all of the threats coming for you, which means if you find a cool room you want to explore most of the time, you're safe to do that. This just makes me fall in love with looking into every little detail and thing I see, and it makes you interested in paying attention to your surroundings, not just out of fear of death, but a genuine curiosity. In this game, curiosity is the only thing keeping the cat from fucking dying. You are the cat. Urban shape. Some of the more major and interesting anomalies that you find along the way of exploring this are these little documents to go along with them, and you can read them after a run, because Sebastian somehow is omnipresent and will snatch that shit out of you to add to his collection. These are straight up SCP files, and they're just fascinating to read and get you, again, more and more invested into what the fuck is happening in this place. I'm gonna go over a few of them here. Abstract art. Ominous statues that show up occasionally until you find a fuckload of them with one of the files in their hands. And then you read, you were just getting into your own head. Despite looking like and reminding you of that one Weeping Angel SCP, these guys are just a herd of sheep and are friendly little peanuts. The Divine. Less friendly, though. The Divine. Another anomaly that seemingly doesn't move or attack you, but is exploited by this facility to be an efficient way to produce breathable air down here. Although they have been reported to get aggressively territorial, the Mindscape. is this incomprehensible pocket dimension. My analog horror Christmas tree. This is just an unhinged file about how this tree ruined Christmas and Santa's presents have untold horrors within them. Imaginary friend, this little fucking shithead. Fuck you. There's also, to break the constant flood of odd rules and creatures you have to keep up with, there are plenty of mundane ways you can die as well. Just like in real life, you can be electrocuted, burned to death, steamed, falling into a pit of a different dimension, eaten alive by insects at the bottom of the ocean. Occasionally, you'll be tasked with going around and swimming underwater. This section would be arguably easier than the other sections if it weren't for the anglers and you being underwater. All the sound is muffled, and the lights kind of funky, keeping you from getting, again, just like the ridge, it keeps you from getting used to the basic layout of the building and contend with a slight adjustment to your surroundings that make squiddles far easier and anglers, especially Pinky, way more dangerous and difficult to avoid. This discomfort pushes you to move forward faster a bit, inadvertently makes you less likely to keep track of lockers, and by the time you hear that angler coming for you, you are far too distant from any to get into one. And in case you think you can just swim or run away in any of the sections of the game, you'll either be eaten to death by bugs or taught the second function of your gear. It's an explosive dog collar. Think Dead Man Wonderland type vibe. You don't follow instructions or just overhear the wrong things, you will be popped like the fucking blood bag you are. This helps contribute to the feeling of expendability you are treated with. It gives the game just this like dystopian vibe without it feeling like it's a far-fetched future or past, but more of like a current dystopian situation you are stuck in. Everything here used to be under tight control. You seem to be the last thing your employer still has in its leash, and they don't intend to lose. After watching everything else around here break free almost all at once, just like dominoes falling, when you explore the area with containment and observations facilities, half of them are very clearly shattered, and whatever used to be contained is just tearing through this facility with its newfound rage and freedom. When you read most of the files, they all tend to refer to them breaking out, especially one direct SCP inspiration, the Mask of Sadness, inspired by a similar behaving and looking mask in the SCP Foundation. In its files, this mask has already killed many people and broke itself out, similarly to most of the other somewhat aggressive anomalies. I think this one might have been the one that started the domino effect, but I'm not quite sure. I label this as an SCP game with 100% confidence, and it is most definitely by far the best one executed. In a similar vein to Library of Ruina and oddly like RimWorld, this game takes the ideas straight from SCPs, twists them to better fit in whatever custom setting or world they are being put into, enhancing the original works, and being a completely free game on Roblox honestly puts it at the same level as these two, and I'd say a touch above when it comes to SCP specifically. The other games are definitely better, but they do cost money, and there's a bunch of achievements and a bunch of outfits. I picked Gay one. Pressure unashamedly admits that it takes huge inspiration from games like Iron Lung and Doors, and it also takes inspiration from SCP, and it not only pulls them off well, but it merges them together just fucking perfectly with its own flair to be its own entity. It does not hide what it takes inspiration from, and it shoves just a metric fuck ton of tiny references to things that I actually recognize, which makes me feel not only seen, but also a bit old. This is definitely a perk, though. Vastly enjoy this game more than I do Doors. Maybe I'm spoiled by having played this game first, but it pulls almost everything off better. Though by far the most important discrepancy between the two games is the goddamn quality of life. Oh my god, the number of quality of life features that I realized this game has after playing it and then playing Doors, it just gives you so much without any effort on your end, without breaking any level of immersion. It's truly a spoiled feeling now that I know what it is. The crouch button is not limited to just C, but also several other buttons. The doors open on their own when you get close. Looting is far smoother at faster paces. The lockers and closets just instantly stop you from dying to anglers when you press the button to start the animation. Whereas indoors, if you aren't fully in the target and Rush gets the slightest sniff from you, you're done. You're dead. There are tons more variations in the rooms. There's more secrets, and if you get fucking lost like a goddamn stray puppy in the darkness, instead of doors just saying "get fucked, idiot," they turn on the red lights in pressure, and it makes sense. It's like the backup energy, the backup battery kicks on, so that once you've been wandering around, they're like, all right, yeah, here you go. Here's some spooky lighting that doesn't break the immersion. Go ahead, keep going. And so let's talk about the boss fight here. Searchlights are the equivalent boss fights for pressure. Compared to doors. These big bugs with lights searching around on them, nicknamed searchlights, if they spot you, they'll emit a sound. And your choice is to either hide and wait, or dash through the lights. But both are not surefire ways. They can obviously kill you if you're outside of cover, but in cover, they can occasionally still get you if you're at the wrong angle. This fight is honestly somewhat relaxing to me. By the time I get to it, the ability to just rest in a cargo crate and with patience alone, I can win this room. It feels quite relaxing compared to the hell you're diving into after and that you were in before this boss. The atmosphere and pressure is just always upheld and reinforced by everything in the game. Even in this searchlight fight, it doesn't really break the atmosphere of the game, even though it does kind of alleviate a bit of that whole pressure vibe that you're getting. Still not bad. It can provide a nice rest. The hub is also straight out of doors, but upgraded yet again. Subs, all easily organized. And this is what helps set the tone of the game and get you dragged and immersed into it. This area makes you feel small. And there is a sub at the back that's meant for up to 40 players that is rusted over compared to all the others that are new and glossy. It makes you wonder how long the sub has been in use and what stories it could have hidden alongside it. Difficulty of this game before you start each run, hopping into the subs and opening the door, that is when you choose the difficulty of the game. You can do it solo without any items, and I'd say that's probably the hardest. I'd say the easiest is with one or two other people to start with the game and having medkits and other items. It's far easier than doing it solo. And when you add like 5+ people and get to like 13 fuckwads, somebody's probably gonna win the run, but it's probably not gonna be you, because that many people makes locker management a goddamn nightmare. They do not scale to more people. I would love to see the miracle of a run where 40 fucking idiots manage to survive to the end. If you die, it is your fault. Outside of maybe the first death on a few monsters, every time you die in solo, it never feels like you weren't able to do anything else to save your life. For every threat that appears, it will only do so if you can address it. Anglers and Pandemonium will not attack if there are no lockers in this room or the previous room for you to hide in. Times you die, it's because you were being reckless, hasty, or oblivious to obvious sound cues and threatening sound effects that you should have reacted to. Every tool you have to survive in this game is a double-edged sword that will kill you if you use it with reckless disregard and full confidence. The flashlights will trigger squiddles and have a very finite battery. The lockers can force you back out or just kill you outright with the void mass. The doors themselves can kill you. The only completely reliable tools are the medkits and hat cards, but they are one-time use. Pressure is probably the best game by far on this website, second only to 17 Pregnant Hyenas.